How are you going? It's naturopath Eric Backer from New Zealand here again, author of Candida Crusher and formulator of the Canzida range of Candida dietary supplements. This is going to be another case history, and I'm going to read a little bit more out of my book and sort of talk along that. So this is case number 5. This is a guy called Jerry. Jerry's a 36-year-old male. He's a mechanic and he's also a security guard. He sort of moonlights as a security guard. He's a really nice guy, and he's had really bad heartburn and jock itch and a few other problems. So Jerry's a single man who never married and works as a factory guard, or factory security guard. And he used to be a mechanic, but he sort of does them both a bit. He came to see me some time ago complaining of jock itch, athlete's foot and heartburn and major fatigue, and was sent in by a lady friend who I helped get rid of her yeast infection. Jerry's hobby is stock car racing, which takes up a lot of his spare time, and he spends many hours in his garage tinkering with his cars, which include a lot of welding and grinding, as well as general mechanical work, most afternoons during the week, as well as every weekend, and at nights, he does his security work. He mentioned that he wears coveralls for several hours a day, and when I questioned him about his diet, it was what I expected: fast foods that are nutritionally depleted and overprocessed. Jerry would routinely skip breakfast, having a cigarette and a coffee instead. For lunch, he would go through the drive-thru to a fast food restaurant, deep-fried chicken, pizzas or burgers, and his evening meal always consisted of a TV dinner, ice cream, and a few cans of beer. Does that sound familiar? Do you know anyone like that? Sometimes they watch football or baseball, and they'll sit down with a can of beer. I think the one I see on American TV is Budweiser. I think Budweiser is the big beer, the blue collar beer, I think they call it. Is it any wonder he has major yeast infection? I mean, look at this guy's lifestyle. He's got his groin covered all the time. He's got clothes on that keep the heat in the area and the moisture in the area. He's drinking foods containing sugar and yeast. This is a red flag for a yeast infection. The first change I recommended to Jerry, of course, was to get rid of the coveralls and to wear 100% cotton loose-fitting clothing around the groin region. 100% cotton socks, and to remove them and go barefoot, whenever he could. Obviously not around the tools, but, when he could go barefoot, to let air and sun around the feet. Jerry had developed the habit of keeping his socks on from early morning until almost bedtime when he was having his bath. I noticed that those with athlete's foot also tend to wear shoes and boots and socks for prolonged periods of time. So when you can, kick them off, right? I asked Jerry if he could shower daily, at the very least, but preferably twice a day, right? Twice a day is the norm for jock itch. And if it's really bad, I ask people to come home and have a shower at lunchtime as well. He used to shower once on rising and again after work and once before bed if he wants to get the maximum result. So I recommended the use of tea tree oil soap and shampoo because they're very good antifungal personal care products. But the biggest challenge for this guy, what do you think it was? It was to having a whole foods and fresh diet. It was to get away from that crap. So the first thing I tried to get him to do is to switch from takeout food more to kebabs and the kind of Subway kind of food, so like more green stuff, a little bit less of the white stuff and a bit more of the green stuff. So this was a good move in the right direction, and to slowly get him away from soda drinks onto juices, from juices, onto sparkling water, and generally into the direction of just plain water and maybe herbal teas. It can take a long time for a guy like Jerry to make the change, but once they make change and get improvement, they'll usually generally progress in that area. So the other thing I recommended him was a multivitamin, of course, and a good antifungal product. So lots of blue-collar guys out there that work in factories, that are mechanics, that are plumbers. We call them tradies in New Zealand. So tradies are like tradesmen or tradeswomen, people that work in trade professions. They can sometimes wear clothing that can be very conducive for a yeast infection. They can work long, hard hours. They can work in confined spaces, hot spaces, under a lot of pressure. And then, of course, when they come home, they're buggered, they're tired. They want to have a cold beer or a glass of wine. They want to relax. They're too exhausted to cook food. They'll have, a quick TV dinner in the microwave or some takeaway food. So the point I'm making of case 5 here is look at the person's lifestyle very carefully. Look at their diet, because these things are very conducive towards, building that yeast infection. I always recommend eating good, whole, natural foods with people and changing elements of their lifestyle that are going to help them to clear the yeast infection. And I always recommend a good antifungal product, dietary supplement on top of that. And Candida is the product I created, the antifungal. You can get it at Candida with an X.com. So when I had Jerry, I didn't have that product at that time. I used other kinds of products which were sort of hit and miss, but I'm getting much better results now with a product I designed for people just like Jerry and just like people like John, who I just spoke about before, people with jock itch, people with vaginal thrush, all kinds of intestinal infections, irritable bowel. So antifungal is a very smart move to take. So have a think about that case. That's case number 5. Thank you.